Hello! We're continuing in the narrow the focus phase of the scientific method this week as we think about the knowledge from the articles and how it comes together. This presentation will explain more about writing in APA style as well as the requirements for the Lit Review assignment. The idea of the introduction section is to help the reader understand why we're designing the study that we're explaining in the method section. One way to think about this broad to narrow structure is that we're funneling information into the hypothesis that ends the section. That might also help explain why we paraphrase and synthesize the ideas instead of reporting what the articles found. I'll use information from this article to demonstrate the differences between those types of writing. You can pause the recording to read the hypothesis in the top section. The bottom three sections summarize the findings. As you might notice in this slide, one difference between reporting and paraphrasing is whether we specifically refer to the fact that a study was done and that we're writing about the studies. Using the in-text citation format also tends to go along with reporting rather than paraphrasing. In some cases, paraphrasing and synthesizing are very similar. Both focus on what we know rather than emphasizing the fact that a study was done. The sentence structures will also use the parenthetical citation format. As you might notice from these examples, synthesizing can also help us make a broader point based on logic and the knowledge from the article. Thinking about the different ways we can talk about the findings might also help you think about the idea of that broad to narrow structure. It's a little bit of a contradiction that my graphic actually goes from narrow to broad to explain broad to narrow, but hopefully this conveys the idea. That said, thinking about how we can synthesize might help you see how one article might support different points depending on how we incorporate it with other thoughts. For example, the Rizzolo article from earlier in this presentation could be cited earlier in the paper to make the point that there are a number of ways to reduce stress, or it could be cited later to talk about specific activities that are helpful for reducing stress. In some ways, synthesizing also helps us tell a story in the literature review. We still support all of the ideas with the citation and accurately convey the information in the cited article, but we can frame it differently. For example, depending on our purpose and the other articles we've read, we might want to organize a literature review by talking about ways to manage stress that are learned and those that are more instinctive. The activities in the Rizzolo article are things that we might learn to do, particularly yoga, whereas we've read about other things that might be more instinctive, like interacting with others or drinking. That said, the grading criteria for the literature review are intended to help you continue to strengthen your APA-style writing. I don't expect you'll write like a professional, and we know that not all professionals write in a way that's easy to understand anyway. I do expect you'll use feedback to improve and to accurately apply what you've learned in class. That's reflected in the points assigned to each of the grading criteria. This assignment will also work with a concept we haven't worked with before, the hypothesis. The course materials talk about different types of hypothesis. It's important to note that we'll be making a prediction of a relationship between two variables. I'll be looking for the keywords included in this slide.